Good morning and welcome to KZSC News, local news from the Monterey Bay. On this week's episode, as Bear Creek, Napa, and Western fires pass, emergency rent freezes have been implemented, and the National Wildlife Federation released a report warning that these fires are the first of many. Adrian Gonzalez is to stand trial as an adult, a potential housing referendum in Santa Cruz, Santa Cruz County to potentially be the first to approve recreational marijuana sales, Branciforte Middle School was under lockdown, intentional HIV transmittance has been changed from a felony to a misdemeanor, and sudden oak death has been spreading rapidly.
The death toll has risen to 42 in the massive fires that raged through Santa Rosa, Napa, and Sonoma over the last week. A new report from the National Wildfire Federation says that California can expect more of these fires in the years to come. Researchers from the organization say the fire season is now 50 days longer than it was in 1979. It also predicts that some areas will see year-round fires. The executive director at the nonprofit Conservation and Planning League, Howard Penn, said suburban sprawl has led millions of Californians to move into areas at high risk for fire. The report blames much of the fires on dry conditions linked to climate change and called for more funding, prescribed burns to clear out the excess dry brush that grew after last year's unusually wet winter. According to Shannon Hayek-Williams, a climate and energy policy advisor for the National Wildfire Federation, the U.S. Forest Fire Service is spending about $1 billion a year fighting blazes, which is over half the agency's budget, and the number is growing quickly. The report also found that more than 8.5 million acres have burned in the United States so far this year, and the area burned annually in the Southwest has increased by 1,200% over the past 40 years. The fires have reached Santa Cruz, as Highway 1 was shut down for a mile north of Western Boulevard, while Santa Cruz and CAL FIRE crews doused a roughly quarter-mile wildfire that climbed a grassy hillside. Fire was put out shortly after air support arrived at about 12:45 p.m. Ground crews cleared a fire line up the hillside as traffic backed up for the miles north and south of the closure. Red retardants covered the hillside where the fire's progress was abruptly stopped. Santa Cruz police reported about 3 p.m. that the northbound lane of Highway 1 was reopened. In the Bay Area, where affordable housing is already scarce, the fires have caused a surge in homelessness, as well as sharp rise in demand for rental units. The price gouging law protects against landlords capitalizing on the heightened vulnerability of tenants. California's statewide tenants' rights organization warned on Wednesday that double-digit rent increases following recent wildfires violate Penal Code 396, the state's anti-price gouging laws. The cap on rent increase was triggered by the governor's declaration of state of emergency in 9 counties due to wildfires. The governor issued an executive order declaring a state of emergency because the wildfires in Napa and Sonoma counties on October 9, 2017. On the same day, the governor issued a second executive order declaring the state of emergency in Butte, Lake, Mendocino, Nevada, and Orange counties. The next day, Solano County was added to the list. Tenants who face rent increases over 10% in areas where the state of emergency has been declared should seek help immediately. Resources include local legal aid offices and local district attorneys. Price gouging tenants is not just a civil violation, but a criminal misdemeanor under the law. Adrian A.J. Gonzalez will be tried as an adult for the rape and murder of 8-year-old Madison Middleton, a crime that occurred when Gonzalez was 15. A wide range of theories arose as to why Adrian Gonzalez committed the crime against Madison Middleton. But the consensus has been that as a result of his crimes, Adrian will be tried as an adult on 6 felonies, including murder with a special allegation of lying in wait, kidnapping, forcible rape, and lewd acts with a child younger than 14. If convicted, Adrian Gonzalez could spend the rest of his life in prison with no chance of parole. The order to try Gonzalez as an adult was done by Santa Cruz County Superior Court Judge John Salazar, who with the hearing court decided that Adrian Gonzalez is unfit for the juvenile courts designed to rehabilitate wards before they are 23 years old. Adrian Gonzalez's case now starts over as an adult trial. His first hearing is slated for November in Superior Court.
About 600 people learned that by certain measures, Santa Cruz is the fourth most expensive city on earth when they gathered in the Santa Cruz Civic Auditorium Thursday evening. Another piece of the problem laid out by the research team of professors and grad students was that to afford an average rental of about $3,000 per house, a single person would have to work nearly 100 hours at the county's current median wage of $14 per hour. In addition to detailing many problems most residents are aware of viscerally from simply existing in the coastal community, a myriad of proposed solutions including accelerated housing development, rent control or an immediate freeze on increases, and reducing hurdles for those wishing to add rentable spaces in their own homes were among the ideas getting rotation through the room. Casey from the Movement for Housing Justice told KZSC what they're doing to help alleviate this crisis.
We're kicking off the campaign to get rent control and just cause eviction on the ballot in November. It's going to be a city ballot initiative, so the whole county is impacted by out-of-control rents, but this is just for the city.
Although many are hopeful that there is a rent control ordinance reaching the November ballot, the Richmond ordinance that she referenced exempts single-family homes from limits on landlords raising rent. Single-family homes are the vast majority of living spaces in Santa Cruz County. Although in favor of rent control as a general principle, Professor McKay cautioned the community to be careful how they implement such policies.
What happens is if anyone gets a whiff that there's going to be rent control, so landlords, before rent control goes in, raise the rents so that at the start of rent control, they're starting at a higher level.
McKay pointed to two groups of solutions that on the face sound very simple, but require the will of a community to implement.
Really, the research points to two really basic things we need to do. Increase the supply of affordable housing for extremely low income and low income people. That doesn't do anything for people who are now in a bad position. So really it's renter protections. And there's three things. So just cause eviction would help keep people in place. Rent stabilization is one of the best ways that keep people in their community. And the third is legal protections for renters. So a lot of people we talk to just didn't want to report it, and don't have access. And the city used to provide free legal services, and the university used to provide legal services for student renters. Both the university and the city have now stopped providing legal services.
On Tuesday, October 24th, the Santa Cruz County Board of Supervisors unanimously voted to allow the 12 medical marijuana dispensaries to sell recreational cannabis in addition to medical cannabis by January 1st, 2018. This means Santa Cruz might be the first county in the state that will allow marijuana for recreational use. Even San Francisco, a city with over twice as many dispensaries as Santa Cruz County, is waiting until 2018 to begin licensing the recreational sale of pot. These new regulations are a result of Prop 64, an initiative passed last November that legalized the sale of recreational marijuana beginning in 2018. 70% of Santa Cruz County voters were in favor of the initiative, which is the second highest margin within California. The board also passed a new tax structure for cannabis businesses, which requires marijuana growers to pay a 5% tax, which will be raised to 6% in 2020 and to 7% in 2022.
On Wednesday, October 25th at around 12:30 p.m., Bransford Middle School was placed on lockdown after a rifle was found on campus. The rifle was found disassembled and unloaded in what appeared to be a garbage bag. Lockdown was placed, quote, out of an abundance of caution, end quote, and was lifted after SCPD swept the campus, finding no possible threats. Superintendent Chris Monroe confirmed everyone went home safely.
Starting January 1st, it will no longer be a felony in California to knowingly expose a sexual partner to HIV with the intent of transmitting the virus. Governor Jerry Brown signed legislation Friday that lowers the offense from a felony to a misdemeanor. The legislature, known as SB 39, was passed in September. The new law will also eliminate the penalty for knowingly donating HIV-infected blood. Democratic Senators Scott Wiener and Assemblyman Todd Gloria argued California law was outdated and stigmatized people living with HIV, especially given recent advancements in medicine. Evidence has shown that a person with HIV who undergoes regular treatment has a negligible chance of spreading the infection to others through sexual contact. Wiener said by destigmatizing HIV, the bill would encourage people to get tested, which will in turn lower HIV transmissions in the state. Gloria released a statement Friday saying that the bill would put the state at the forefront in the fight to stop the spread of HIV.
A highly contagious disease that has already killed millions of rural California trees is spreading into urban areas in the East Bay and the peninsula. The sudden oak death pathogen is a fungus-like invader that first emerged in 1995 and migrated to California from Asia, and was recently found in 13% of all samples from the central coast of California. Popular local destinations have already been affected, including the UC Santa Cruz Arboretum, the UC Berkeley campus and botanical gardens, and the Presidio. This trend is worrisome, forcing once untouched areas to face disease impacts and management decisions. The pathogen spreads naturally through water, such as rain splashes and contaminated creeks, and was boosted by last winter's exceptionally wet weather conditions.
I'm Alex Vareljian.
I'm Daniel Martinez.
I'm Parker Hume.
I'm Jordan Penland.
Additional reporting from Daniel Wootan. I'm Kavya Aswadati for KZSC News.